Have you ever seen a couple that made you stop and silently think, wait, how did that happen? He's movie star handsome, with the kind of face you'd expect on a magazine cover. Yet, the woman on his arm isn't what the world might call a classic beauty. Or maybe it's the other way around. She's stunning, unforgettable, a real head-turner, and he's average, safe, the kind of guy you'd expect to help you move furniture, not take your breath away. And then comes the quiet question. Why don't the most attractive people usually end up with each other? Shouldn't beauty be drawn to beauty? The answer is far deeper than looks. It's about safety, about fear, power, identity, and most of all, survival. Take Daniel, for instance. Tall, successful, confident, a man who looked like he belonged in a fragrance ad. For most of his adult life, Daniel only dated women who were considered drop-dead gorgeous, women who turned heads when they entered a room. But there was a pattern. Every relationship ended in emotional exhaustion, not because of betrayal or drama, but because he constantly felt like he had to perform, to impress, to be enough to keep up. When he dated these women, he wasn't connecting. He was competing. He described it once as being in a constant job interview. It was never just love. It was validation on steroids.
Here's where the mirror effect comes in. When two people are considered extremely attractive by society standards, they often unintentionally mirror each other's insecurities. They're both used to being seen, admired, and desired. So what happens when that attention is no longer unique, when your partner gets as much or more attention than you do? The relationship becomes a silent tug of war. Who is admired more? Who's more envied? It shifts from romance to rivalry, from comfort to comparison. Instead of soothing each other's insecurities, they multiply them. But then something unexpected happens. Daniel meets Sarah. She's not a bombshell. She doesn't dominate rooms or silence crowds, but she knows who she is. She's warm, confident, quietly powerful, and for the first time, Daniel doesn't feel like he's on stage. He doesn't have to impress or outshine. He can just be. There's no competition in their connection. Instead, there's balance. Psychologists call this complementary attraction, where one person brings the spark, the other brings the anchor. Not two stars fighting for the spotlight, but a dance where each person brings something the other doesn't have. Think of it like sound mixing. If two tracks are blasting at full volume, the music is just noise. But if one supports while the other leads, it creates harmony. That's what Daniel found. Not less attraction, but more peace. And peace in relationships is a form of rare beauty most people don't even realize they're chasing. But there's another layer to this, the psychology of control. You see, when someone is with a partner who's too attractive by their own standards, it can awaken a quiet fear, the fear of being replaced, of not being enough. Handsome men might avoid beautiful women, not because they don't like them, but because being with them feels like dating a high-maintenance sports car. You love looking at it, but you're terrified it'll break down or leave you stranded. Similarly, beautiful women often grow weary of being objectified, so when they meet a man who treats them like a person, not a prize, that emotional safety outweighs physical perfection. It's like choosing to live in a mansion with no locks versus a modest home where you always feel safe. The modest one wins every time. And then there's the evolutionary angle. Go back a few thousand years. In tribal communities, beauty and strength were like currencies. Valuable, yes, but also dangerous. When two highly desirable people paired up, it caused waves, rivalries, disruptions. Leaders knew this, so subconsciously, humans began choosing partners based not just on status, but on emotional stability, on who could help them survive. So today, that instinct still lives in us. Handsome men often marry women who bring emotional grounding. Beautiful women often marry men who offer dependability, not because they're settling, but because they're choosing safety over spectacle, fire over fireworks. And in the real world, this shows up in the couples you see at the grocery store, at weddings, on long walks holding hands. One might be dazzling, the other grounding. One might shine in a crowd, the other behind the scenes. But together, they work. Because real love isn't a mirror, It's not about finding your equal in looks. It's about finding your partner in life. So the next time you see a couple and you wonder, how did they end up together? Maybe ask a different question. What do they give each other that the world can't see? Because true connection doesn't happen between faces. It happens between souls. In the end, it's not that handsome men avoid beautiful women. It's that they, like all of us, eventually crave what looks can't give. Peace, loyalty, understanding, a place to rest their heart. And maybe, just maybe, the most beautiful thing a person can offer isn't how they look, but how they make you feel when you finally put your mask down.